I think I was going fast enough to go through the window, but
You just weren't.
I veered and I hit the side pillar like this.
Hello, I'm the freshest in the place. Running laps with my vibe and you can't keep the pace. Head to toe while I'm dripping in style. I'm fly with $1 million smile.
It's a really good breakfast at a diner nearby. Got some a little greasy, but like yeah, grease is fuel.
Welcome back to the Velo All-Road Field Test. Previously, we gathered all of our first impressions, did way too much back-to-back testing, and we got to play with our super scientific data acquisition system, which was all in prep for today's big 100-mile ride, where we'll be switching bikes and comparing opinions. Now all that is going to add up to the final verdict. Which of these 6 bikes is at the top of the all-road mountain?
The ride hasn't even started yet, and I'm already into my ride food.
What are you looking for, Josh?
An extent. This is impossible. There's no possible way I'm gonna find this. That one's gone. That one's dead to me.
How you feeling about the ride today?
It's just a matter of, can I keep up with Alvin? But I will say that I heard Alvin saying that the distance is, not what he's used to. So here's hoping. Fingers crossed. I'm feeling good about the bike though. That'll be no problem.
We had a really good breakfast at a diner nearby. Grease is fuel.
A little nervous, to be honest with you, because I'm a bit out of my element, but I know there's some general stores along the way, so we're gonna stop and get candy, and I'll just try and hang on. Can't be that hard. You just gotta keep pedaling. That's all you do. You just keep pedaling, right?
Well, here we are, folks. Today is the day of our big ride on our test bikes, and these boys are making me come along with them. We're gonna see how that goes. I'm on BMC Road Machine, Big Blue. We've got Alvin on the Steel Stinner, Josh is on the Specialized Roubaix, and Will is on the Lauf. It's gonna be about 100 miles out to Point Reyes Lighthouse and back. We're gonna meet up with these guys, these camera guys, a few times to give you guys some updates, but most importantly, we're gonna stop to get candy and burritos. I think it's gonna be a damn good day. I'm just gonna try to stay on these guys' wheels. Hopefully they don't mind me sitting in their draft all day. Josh, are you ready yet?
I'm getting there.
Time to hit it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, it's non-binary pal.
See you guys in 6 to 9 hours. Where are we, like 4 miles in?
Yeah. Hey, you guys wanna stop and get a coffee somewhere?
Can't be that hard. You just gotta keep pedaling. That's all you do. You just keep pedaling, right?
Well, everybody, we had a little mishap. Turns out a wild car jumped in front of me. Will saw it about 1 kilometer away, but I don't know where I was looking. I have no idea. Maybe I had too much Monster in the morning, but I ran smack dab in the back of it. And then, Will, what did you see then?
I saw you going like whoosh, and then next thing you know, I became a real cyclist and did my first collarbone.
That's your first collarbone?
My first collarbone.
Dog.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, see? Yeah.
I'm gonna go sit in the hot tub.
And I'm gonna go get an x-ray.
God.
And then,
I'm sorry, Will.
it's all good.
All right, everybody, it is a new day and we've got a new plan. This time around, it is just Alvin and Josh heading out. Alvin's gonna head out on the Steel Stinner and Josh is gonna ride the Specialized Roubaix. We're gonna meet them halfway. They're gonna switch bikes. They're gonna switch to the Da Vinci Hatchet and the Specialized Athos. Then, when everything is said and done, we're gonna catch up with them back at the house and see how everything went. All right, guys, watch out for cars out there, okay?
We'll do our best. I've seen 1 or 2 of them.
Me too, just too late.
What do we have today? A roughly 100-mile ride to Point Reyes Lighthouse.
Yeah.
We're gonna hopefully see some sort of view. Maybe we'll see a whale. So we've got one stop at Inverness Store. We're stopping in Point Reyes Station, cute little town. Pretty darn big hub for cyclists on the weekend. And after that, we should have Something like 25 miles left.
So, Alvin, you're on the Vibe bike. We are, I don't know, 15 miles in. How's it treating you?
From our testing and our personal observations, this bike, as it's set up at least, is just not as smooth riding as the other bikes here.
I mean, that's definitely what I felt from that bike. It's just a little more jittery. It's a little less smooth.
This has been really impressive for a material that the majority of the bike industry has largely moved on from. Okay, I do want to talk briefly about climbing ability. All these bikes in the climbing test were within about 20 seconds of one another on a 3-minute climb, which isn't nothing, to be clear. That being said, this bike doesn't really feel like dramatically slower than any of those bikes. It doesn't necessarily have the liveliness of something like the race bike that we have in the test, the Athos, but it also just doesn't feel like sloppy or anything like that. The one thing I will say about the Stinner, and this is the case across any bike with this type of geometry, is that on a steeper climb, lower speeds especially, you'll feel the front wheel flopping around a little bit. I would prefer, in the grand scheme of things, that Stinner spec this bike with 2 fork brakes at the very least, specifically for the smaller sizes, to bring that trail figure in a little bit more and make the bike a little bit easier to handle on those longer, steeper climbs. And it looks like we're coming up to our first stop in the ride.
We're in Inverness, which is almost at a Point Reyes station where we're gonna swap bikes, but we wanted to catch up with the guys before they got out there to see what they think and to check in on how the ride is going. Oh, look at that. It's almost like we knew they were coming, eh?
Why are we not at the market? I'm trying to chomp down, dude.
The market? Oh, geez, I got a bag of candy for you in the truck.
Oh, that's very nice of you.
Alvin, I want you to tell me one thing that you've learned on this ride about this bike, one positive thing, and then I want you to give me a critical thing as well.
Okay. Positive, I mean, it felt pretty familiar right off the bat.
Yeah.
And that was the case in the first ride.
Yep.
And that's still the case here. There's nothing that really surprises me about this bike. That being said, I think if there's one negative about the bike, this is something that Stinner can change relatively easily, but like I wish that they included a second fork brake here.
Okay.
Smaller sizes, more trail. I keep harping on about that.
Why do you want that different trail figure on a smaller frame?
Yeah, so here's the thing, like if you have one fork brake across all sizes, which is the case with most bikes, the head angle of these bikes is going to change with the sizes, especially on the smaller sizes. They often do it so you don't have toe overlap.
Danger.
Yeah, which, you know, is neither here nor there in my eyes. But as a result of making that compromise, the trail figure increases, and where you feel that, I think, is kind of on those longer, slightly steeper climbs where the front of the bike kind of wanders just a little bit. It goes back and forth, and it makes it just a touch harder to like keep in a straight line.
I mean, we should say that generally speaking, more expensive frames will be willing to invest in that tooling for more options across the frame sizes.
Okay, Josh, you're up next. Positive.
You know what this Future Shock is fantastic for? Puppy paws.
What are puppy paws?
When you lean on these bars, if you want to this is the most aero position you could possibly take. And when you lean on these bars, this Future Shock takes the, because you don't have any padding here, you're not supposed to lean right there. And the Future Shock just takes up those little bumps.
Yep, especially because you got more weight on the handlebars too, so it's going to be more active for sure.
So it's great. In terms of negatives, I'm actually struggling a little to find something. This bike is really good. However, I'm going to go back to the Future Shock again. As much as I do enjoy that it's great for puppy paws and like being in that position, I don't think that's something that is like people do regularly. And I still am going to say that the Future Shock is a little bit like overly complex for, like, I just don't know that you really need it. I think that I could accomplish almost the same thing with tire pressure and you know, not everyone's getting down in that aero position, leaning on the bars like that.
Okay, all right. I hope there's some rough pavement between right now and where we meet, because I want to hear what you think of it if it's over some really rough stuff, and maybe you'll change your mind, but
Yeah, could
that's fair enough right now.
I hope you twist that thing towards its like more locked out position too.
You want me to lock it out? You think I should lock it out and
Try
see
it
the
out.
difference?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it still has a little bit of give.
Yeah.
It's not gonna fully lock it out, but I'm curious what kind of difference that makes. Maybe you think that is worth the trade-off.
Sure.
Okay. How do you guys feel about the bakery over there?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Okay.
Let's go. Next stop, Lighthouse.
Well, at this very second, we happen to be on glass smooth pavement again.
Yeah.
It immediately got not smooth after
Yeah.
we left.
Yeah.
And there's no denying that this thing is good. Obviously, it's good, but do we really need this on a road bike? And you could argue that there's no downside and you might as well take it, but there has to be weight, cost, complexity. There's a simpler way to do this. It's called tire pressure.
Happy cows.
All right, you guys have just rolled up to meet us at the Point Reyes Lighthouse. First of all, big update. I just want to tell you, I walked out there and I saw a freaking whale. And it did the blowhole thing. Anyways,
Lucky you.
guys, that was not an easy cruise out to the lighthouse. That looked
Yeah,
like
what
some
happened?
solid rollers.
The last time I saw you, I was like, yeah, this is going great.
Yeah.
And then we went into a stiff headwind
Yeah.
on a bunch of rollers. Yeah, I'm pretty, like, things have changed dramatically.
I have to say, in the truck on the drive out here, I was like, man, this looks amazing. I was like super bummed, and I am super bummed that I'm not out here with you guys. But then I got on the truck and it was just like,
Yeah.
okay, tell me about the ride.
So, as discussed, I did turn the Future Shock on and off.
Yeah.
And surprising thing it does is it really tightens up the steering when
Yeah.
you're descending. I
Yeah.
bet Will would have loved it locked out, actually.
Okay, a little more direct feeling,
Yeah,
eh?
much more direct feeling.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's mostly like whatever. It's there, it's not there, it's fine.
Okay, one more question though. Who was taking longer pulls? through this wind?
100% that guy. I'm gonna say right now,
Okay.
that guy's a decade younger. I put him in front, and then I still got dropped eventually.
Okay. Alvin, what do you think of the bike?
You know, I really like this bike actually. The more you ride it, I think
Yeah.
part of it, I would say, is probably the bonding thing that happens when you build up a bike from
Yeah.
the frame.
Yeah.
'Cause that's what I did here.
Yeah.
And you learn to really like it because you are able to choose every single thing here.
Yep.
As far as the ride out here, no complaints really. Like, does it have the ultimate polish of like the smoothness of that bike? No. Does it have the outright like pedaling efficiency of like one of the other carbon bikes? No. Does it have the tire clearance of the gravel bike? No. But it does all the things pretty darn well, and even though in the testing it wasn't ever really at the top,
Yeah.
I'm still really happy with this.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd be happy to keep riding this all the way back home.
But you are not. We're gonna
Okay.
do the bike swap.
Okay, all right.
Josh, I want to hear just a few more impressions about the Roubaix before we get to that.
I mean, the thing about the Roubaix, it is so incredibly competent at so many things. And so I keep going back and forth about the Future Shock and how I really do think it is overly complicated for something that you could handle with tire pressure.
Yeah.
However, that said, this bike is really competent. And if you were gonna do more truly off-road things, I think you would actually really appreciate that.
Yeah, 100%.
It makes me really wish that Specialized offered a Roubaix without the Future Shock.
That is true. I would
Similar
agree with
handling,
that.
similar geometry.
Yeah.
Give me the compliance out back.
Yeah.
No Future Shock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems like it would make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
And also be marginally lighter as well too.
Marginally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to do a bike swap. Alvin, I know you love that thing, but what bike are you riding now?
I'm riding the DaVinci Hatchet Pro, the gravel bike.
Very different from this steel Stinner. Couldn't be more different.
Very different, yeah. A whole lot like simultaneously stiffer, but also smoother over the rough stuff.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I think I'm gonna enjoy it too, though.
Josh, you're staying on a Specialized.
I am. Don't come at me in the comments. it's for a point. It's for a point of comparison, and I think it's going to be. I'm actually really excited to do this jump, just because like it's back to back. Some of these are going to be the same roads, and I can just really feel what the difference is going to be.
Okay, we got some Haribo in the truck. Let's swap some pedals, get you guys going again. Probably refill some bottles as well.
Thank heavens.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so I'm riding along. Josh is a little bit behind. I am hoping we come out of this with him deciding that the Roubaix is the better bike for this type of riding, because I fully feel that way.
Guys,
Yo.
you got here like an hour sooner than I expected you to get here, so I just want to say that. Maybe the wind wasn't all that bad on the way back?
It was a tailwind coming off the point.
Yeah.
And then it was a headwind, but we were still crushing miles even in the headwind.
Excellent.
Just making rotations, and it was good times.
Okay, good, and the scenery was absolutely amazing.
Beautiful.
Okay, let's talk about bikes though. You were on the Roubaix before.
Yeah, let me just tell you, the switch was rough. So,
Why was the switch rough?
well, it was a rude awakening to come. So on the point, the ocean is on both sides, so the wind is just kind of all over the place. Going from one bike to the other, this one feels like scary fast. And
Okay.
It was
twitchy.
like twitchy, and
How different are the angles on this thing? Is it that different?
I don't know, man. I
Feels
don't
that
have
way,
it
eh?
in front of me, but I can tell you that it felt scary coming off of there.
Okay.
Now, once we got past that, now I'm back in love with this bike. Now, there was one moment where I was able to hold an aero position coming around the curve, and I don't usually do that, but for whatever reason, I was able to do it. And there's that moment where the weight shifts from one side to the other, and you feel a moment of weightlessness, and it's like heaven on this bike. It was so nice, and it was so glorious.
Does the bike feel like it climbs different?
It's a little more challenging to like hold the white line. If you want to like hold a really tight line. The other bike is definitely more stable.
What about forgiveness? Tell me about the front end. Now you're off the Future Shock.
Yeah, so it's funny because earlier one of the times we talked, you guys were like, hey, open it, close it, whatever, try it out. And there's quite a rough section through there after that. And I was like, it doesn't matter. The Future Shock doesn't matter. And then you ride it on this bike and you're like, whoa, Future Shock is doing a lot.
He likes it, folks. He likes it. We got a believer now.
Yeah.
Okay, Alvin, you've gone from the steel Stinner all-road bike to a carbon fiber DaVinci Hatchet gravel bike. It's quite the change. Same tires, but what is different to you? What do you feel different?
So I was thinking about where the Hatchet name came from, and I thought about that through the first ride. I really figured out where the name came from. It's from the saddle.
Oh boy.
This thing. Like this thing, I hate to say this, it feels like they pulled it out of a catalog from like 2012.
Okay.
Something like that. That was like pulling from Celia Talia's designs from like 2005. But besides that, this bike does feel kind of stiffer through kind of the like jarring chip sealy type stuff, like the broken pavement. Like this feels a little bit more jarring.
Tell me about the handling. How does it compare to the Stinner?
Oh, man, I actually was recording it the first like steep like turn that we had coming down.
Yeah.
I like understeered pretty hardcore, and I'm glad there wasn't a car on the other side of the road because I would have hit it.
Alvin went well across the line.
Yeah, and I mean, frankly, I'm not gonna blame it on the bike. I think that is more of just like me
Getting used to it.
Get some more weight on the front of the bike.
Yeah, it's a very different thing.
but immediately, like, we were taking turns, like, I didn't feel disadvantaged on this bike.
Yep.
Outside the saddle.
Okay. Well, you guys have another, what, 45 miles or so to go.
Oh, it's nothing.
But first, Josh needs some calories, and I think that is going to come from buffalo milk ice cream, I suspect. A lot of it.
Oh, is
I
that
don't
what
know if he's gonna do that. But I
might do that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go get some food.
So I'm getting settled with the race bike now. I'm like getting more used to it again.
Yeah.
And it's still really good.
I secretly hoped to camera is like, let's see if Josh comes to the conclusion that the Roubaix is the right bike for the rides he likes to do.
Yeah, no.
And then I was like, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Well, so it depends. For my long rides, it really would be the right tool. But here's the thing, my short rides, it would not be the right tool. And I could absolutely make it work, but it would lack that little zing that I like. In like a 30-mile ride, I want to go out there and just be a fool.
Yeah.
Sprint to every stop sign for absolutely no friggin' reason.
Yeah.
And you could do it, but it's not really the right tool for that job.
Right.
So we're coming up to the end of this ride, Alvin.
Yeah.
We got one more hill plus up to the house, which is gonna be a crusher, but
Yeah.
let's not dwell on that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the miles we put behind us. How you feeling?
Have I already said that I don't like this saddle?
A seat post that is from a 2013 road bike catalog. The Hatchet saddle right here, not my favorite thing in the world. It's from this saddle. I hate this thing.
You did mention it once
Okay,
or
I have.
10 times.
If you aren't particular about what kind of bike you want and you just want a bike to ride with your friends and cover miles and you're not looking to race, a lot of gravel bikes out there will do that for you.
True.
A lot of them. I think the other thing is this, that for me at least, equipment choice is so personal.
Yes. And it's fun. Let's just say it is fun to obsess over that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we're here. We're here to obsess. But there's a way to obsessively make a bike like this DaVinci Hatchet Pro into something that can go fast,
Yeah.
feel good, and be comfortable all at the same time.
Like, it's important to remember, as much as you want to chase equipment, that like all these bikes are so good.
Yeah.
And it's just fun to grab a bike, whichever one.
Bro, I'm so tired.
Get it. How was that for a day, eh? Yeah, dog. Good work. We thought that hill was steep at the start of the week. You guys have been in great spirits all day. It looks like you're still in good spirits, so I assume the rest of the ride was awesome.
It actually really was. It really, like, the hardest part was out by the lighthouse.
Yeah,
And then
no doubt.
Yeah, from there it was pretty much smooth sailing.
Okay. You came through the valley, those nice new roads. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, we hit some dirt for a little bit.
Okay, we're gonna do deep reviews on these things later. So that's not what I'm looking for right now, but what I am looking for, 3 words again,
Oh my gosh.
right? Let's start with you. Just about the gravel bike, because we're gonna get deep later.
Super duper competence.
That works.
I wasn't sure, and I think like everyone else, I think everyone else's conclusion was like, hey, this bike's actually pretty surprisingly good
Yeah.
Yep,
at all of these things.
yep.
And I'm not saying like just buy a gravel bike necessarily.
Well, that was one of our questions at the start of this whole like all road thing. Like, can people buy a gravel bike and have just a couple sets of wheels? Is it better? Like, which direction can they go? So we got stuff to talk about there.
Yeah.
Josh,
Yeah.
Athos, 3 words.
I got to think about it a little bit. I'm gonna go with light, fun, trouble.
Okay.
And here's the thing about this. This bike will get you in trouble. This is the bike that when you're tired, you get
Yeah.
90 miles in your legs. For some reason, you're sprinting after your partner up the hill.
What are some like takeaways that you guys learned from this ride? Not necessarily, bike specific things, but 1 or 2 takeaways.
All right, here's something that really struck me.
Yeah.
Because as many bikes as I review, when you go back to back like that,
Yeah.
it's shocking how much difference there is. You get off one totally different type of bike and you get on another totally different type of bike and you're like, wow, these are different.
We've both been testing bikes for far too long, and there's nothing like the back-to-back thing. It's one thing to like ride a bike for like a month,
Right.
you know, but at a certain point, sometimes I always felt like you could like start to like adapt a lot to the bike, you know?
Yes.
But when you do this field test stuff, back to back to back, it's like, oh, boom, something is different. What is it? Like, this is it. This is good. This is bad. Yeah, that's perfect. Alvin?
I think the key takeaways here is like, there's so many just really good bikes out there. And I think more often than not, the human body can overcome and persevere. And like, I think the right tool for the job that we had today was probably the Stinner or the Roubaix. You ended up just like loving that. And it's like, okay, this bike is stiffer and it's gonna be a little bit more jarring. And you didn't really care because your body figured it out. This bike, the hatchet saddle right here, not my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah.
The handling here is different.
Let's touch on that for a second. That's another thing about reviewing bikes. Like contact points.
Yeah.
Like that.
Important.
They can have such an effect on things, you know, and sometimes we have to look like not just past that, but sometimes it raises the question, like, it's such a small thing, but somebody somewhere decided that was a good idea when I think we all knew it was a bad idea when we saw it.
I mean, I want to hold those people accountable because I think
Yeah.
a really good bike, every piece is well thought out. Somebody obsessed about the details.
Yep.
And when those details get missed, then you wonder like, okay, if that detail got missed,
Yeah.
what else got missed?
Yeah.
What were they not obsessing over?
All these other bikes in comparison, like nail everything, right?
Yeah.
So when there's one thing that's slightly off,
Yeah.
I can tell that much, as you said. So nothing necessarily wrong with that. I think they really thought this through. We don't need to keep harping on this.
Yeah.
Because we're home and I can sit down later.
Yeah, exactly. What was your final miles?
All right, so ride download. Total time, 6 hours, 17 minutes. 7,136 feet of climbing, 7,057 feet of descending.
Good work.
Normalized power 179, average power 150, so like pretty endurance-y for me. Days till recovery, 4 days.
Guys, should we go get some food?
Yeah.
Call it done?
Let me shower first, please.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. I can smell you from here.